People say homeowners associations exist to keep neighborhoods peaceful, but mine felt like it existed purely to haunt me. The day they slapped a bright yellow fine on my door for unauthorized fishing in the lake I'd grown up visiting, something cracked inside me. I wasn't trying to break any rules. I was trying to keep a promise my father never lived long enough to see fulfilled. They didn't care. They saw a man with an old fishing rod and a plastic tackle box, and they saw a problem. But what they never expected was that this problem would come back holding the deed to the entire lake. And the day I stood in front of the HOA president and told her she was permanently banned from the water she'd lorded over for 15 years, I realized I hadn't just won. I'd reclaimed a part of my life I thought I'd lost forever. The morning started like any other. Sun warming the back of my neck, the old wooden dock creaking under my weight, the lake water gently nudging the shore. I sat with my line cast out, thinking about my dad. He used to take me here when I was barely tall enough to hold a fishing rod straight. We didn't always catch something, but that wasn't the point. The point was the quiet. The way he'd say, "This is our place, Evan. One day, you'll bring your kids here too." He died 3 years ago, before he ever met the kids I might have had. Before he saw the neighborhood change. Before the HOA took over the lake he loved like family. I'd only been sitting there 20 minutes when a shadow cut across the dock. The voice that followed was sharp enough to slice the air in half. "Sir, you are in violation of Section 14B regarding use of community water features." I didn't need to look up. Only one person in the world could make even a friendly greeting sound like a summons to court. Meredith King, HOA president, sun visor pulled tight like it was part of her skull. "I'm just fishing," I said, still hoping to keep the peace. "I've been coming here since I was a kid." "That's irrelevant," she snapped. "There are regulations for a reason. If we let you fish, then everyone will want to fish. And that lake is not a playground." I looked at the water, then back at her. "It's a lake." She scoffed like I'd insulted her entire bloodline and slapped a citation onto my cooler. "Due immediately. $62. I laughed, not because it was funny but because the absurdity hit me so hard I couldn't help it. Meredith didn't laugh. She turned on her heel and walked away like she'd just protected civilization from a great threat. But that fine wasn't just annoying. It was insulting. It felt like she'd fined my memories, my childhood, my connection to my dad. All because she could. That night, I called my mom. I told her what happened. She sighed in that way mothers do when the world is cruel in exactly the places it shouldn't be. "You know," she said softly, "your father always talked about wanting to buy that lake. He used to say, if it were mine, Evan would never worry about someone taking it away." Those words landed hard. The next morning, something pushed me to call the county office. I asked about the ownership of the lake. The clerk paused, shuffled some papers, then casually told me something no one in the neighborhood knew. The lake wasn't owned by the HOA. It was privately owned. And the owner was selling. That was the moment everything changed. A week later, the deed was in my hand. My hands were shaking when I signed the papers. My father used to say, some things deserve to stay in the family. As the ink dried, I felt like I had finally given him something back. The next HOA meeting was packed. Meredith sat at the front, smug as always, until she saw me walk in. Her eyes narrowed. "You're not on the schedule," she said. "No," I replied, "but I have something the neighborhood needs to hear." I placed the deed on the table. She glanced down, and her mouth fell open. This can't be real." "It's very real," I said. "I'm the new owner of Lake Raleigh." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, Meredith trying to swallow her pride like it was a full meal. But I wasn't there to gloat. "I'm not here to shut everyone out," I said. "But I am here to fix something that never should have been broken." And Meredith, who fined me like she was issuing divine judgment, looked like she wanted the ground to open beneath her. That was only the beginning. Word spread through the neighborhood faster than gossip through a church foyer. For days, people came up to me with everything from congratulations to hopeful questions. "Can we kayak now? Does this mean the HOA can't tow my pontoon anymore? My dog likes to swim, is that allowed? For the first time in years, the lake felt like it belonged to people again, not a committee with too much free time. But Meredith wasn't done. Not by a long shot. She showed up at my house 2 mornings later, wearing a blazer like she'd been expecting a photo shoot. She didn't even knock gently. It was the type of knock you use when the house owes you money. I need to discuss the lake situation, she announced before I even opened the door fully. There is no situation, I said calmly. The HOA never owned the lake. That's not the point, she snapped. We have rules. Protocols. Standards. And I have a deed, I replied. Her jaw tightened. You can't just do whatever you want with it. Actually, I said with a half smile, I can. She stormed off, but I knew she'd be back. Meredith didn't accept defeat, she hunted it down to argue with it. So I made a decision. Not out of revenge. Not to humiliate her. But to protect what mattered. I issued the new lake policy. Everyone in the neighborhood was welcome to access it. Kids could skip rocks again, dads could fish, families could picnic along the shore. All free. All simple. All human. Except for one rule. The HOA board members were banned from the lake. Not the residents. Not the families. Just the people who'd spent years weaponizing a body of water like it was their personal kingdom. The announcement dropped like a stone in still water. The ripple was immediate and massive. Meredith showed up again, furious. This is targeted harassment. No, I said. It's accountability. You used the lake to control people, and you punished them for enjoying something that wasn't yours. This is me making sure that never happens again. Her face twisted with disbelief, maybe even shame, though she'd never admit it. She marched away, but this time she didn't come back. And something beautiful happened. Little by little, the lake transformed. Kids played. Neighbors bonded. People who hadn't talked in years shared fishing tips like old friends. Someone set up a little community dock. Another brought in kayaks to share. One evening, I sat on the old wooden dock, watching the sun stretch across the water. A kid I'd never met before ran up to me, holding a tiny fish the size of his palm. Look! My first catch! His excitement cracked something inside me. A warmth I hadn't felt since my dad was alive. I patted the kid's shoulder. Nice job, buddy. You'll remember this one. When he ran back to his family, I looked at the lake and whispered, "We did it, Dad." And for the first time since he passed, the ache in my chest loosened a little. I didn't just buy a lake. I brought a piece of my father back to life. And I gave my neighborhood the freedom it never knew it lost.